Welcome back again to our data transformation series. So if you're just seeing this for the first time, you may want to check what we did with the transformation for one anchor column. This is for more than one anchor column. So now, what if in the case where you have two anchor columns like this, and you want to transform and transpose these the way they are in the dirty sheet to look like the way they are here in the clean sheet? So the idea is what? If you look at the dirty tree, there is order ID, there is order date, and the ship mode and the segment are in the column, but you want to put everything into like this format. So how do you go about that? So first thing first is to understand the nature of the data, which is what? To understand how many columns that we have, and so this is what I call anchor column. This is what I call your anchor column. So we have more than one anchor column, which is the order ID and the order date. Now, how do we go about it? First thing first is to, first of all, select the range of cell using Control A to select all the range of cell, and then go to Data tab, and then go to from table range. So we can take it into what? Power Query. That is what we take it straight into Power Query. So take it straight into Power Query. Our table has no header. It's best to work with no header because we know that we are going to transpose before we even promote the header. That's why we keep it this way. So we'll check it, we'll okay it without not checking the header. So it takes us straight to Power Query. So when it gets to Power Query, now we don't basically need this. This is automatic step that is done by Power Query. So I'm just gonna delete that. I don't need it because I will still once I promote my header, everything will take, it will still automatically change them to what? To the appropriate headers. So you see why we call these two anchor column. Look at what we have here. We have this and then we have that. Now, what is the magic here? What's the difference between what we did in the first instance where we had one column and what we're gonna do when there are more than one column? Now, why I keep saying when they are more than one column is for you to know that there mustn't be two for you to apply this strategy. Even if they are 10, even if they are 5, this strategy is going to handle this kind of issue. So what's the first thing we do is to merge these two so that they can act as one column. That's the first thing we do. We merge these two so that they can act as one column before we even transpose. Remember in the first time, it was just a one anchor column. So all we needed was just to transpose. But before we transpose, we have to merge these two so they can act as what? One column. And like I said, even if there are 5, merge all of 5 of them or 6 of them or whatever be the case, so they can act as what? One column. So select this, right click, and then I'll click on merge column. Now, when I click on merge column, right, there is also another thing I need you to know. If you look at the characters that we have in between here, you have to make sure that you use a separator that is not already in the character. You see that we have hyphen here, and then we have a backslash here, and then we have a colon here. So if I'm using a separator, I'll have to use a separator that is not already there, either like a comma or a semicolon. This is what we have here is a colon. Stuffs like that is one thing we can use to what? To convert them. So we can just choose what? Semicolon as what? A merge, as a way to merge the column. So we merge them. Now you see that this is now one column. It is now acting as what? One column. Only when you've merged them, that is when you can then what? Transpose. And that is the difference between when you're handling a one anchor column and when a transposing of one anchor column and transposing of more than one anchor column. This is the magic, the difference between them. So then we can then what transpose. Now, after transposing, just like I told us in the first instance, we have to promote the headers because unpivoting works with the header and the header and the column works with the column heads and its values. That's how unpivoting works. So we have to what promote our headers so that the heads, the column heads will then serve as the attributes, while their values will serve as what? The values when we want on pivot. So we'll promote our header. Click on promoting header. Now you see again, there is nothing here. So I know that there is nothing I'll use this for. So I'm just gonna delete. This is just as empty as anything because there is nothing on the value. Look at the difference. There are things here, but there is nothing here. So I'm just gonna delete this. I don't need that. Now that I've deleted it, remember we need to keep this when on pivoting, we have to keep these two columns. So I have to select the two columns. If it is one column in your case or in practice that you are supposed to keep, then you keep that one column and unpivot others. You know what you're supposed to unpivot. But the idea is for you to know that at this point, you keep these two and then you unpivot other ones. So just come here and unpivot the other columns. Now that we've unpivoted the other columns, the same way we merge those two columns. And in your case, if they are more than two, even if they are 10, it's the same way you would split them back. So that's the strategy. Now, we've done what we needed to do with them after merging. So we need to separate them back again because that's not the way they are supposed to be. To separate them back, so we'll right click, go to the transform. Yes, go to transform and go to split. I mean to say split column, and then we split by delimiter. Split by delimiter. Now you see, it shows me a custom column of this, but this is not what I measure with. So I'm gonna separate. I'm gonna select the semicolon, because that is what I merge them with. So the same character you merge them with is the same character you will split them with. So I split them back. Yeah. So you see that now we've separated the order ID from the date. We've separated the order ID from the date. There's also maybe I don't like this 00. I can also decide to split out using a space. Just so I don't I can easily convert. I don't want the time, the date and time. So just to make it easier for me, I can easily just split out the 000000 using what space. That's the only thing that separates the date and the time, space. So I'm going to what to split them back again using what space. It's gonna okay, we can use here split using delimiter. If the split is not in your right click, you can check it from the tab or under the transform tab. So I'm using a space to split them back. So if I split this, exactly. So now I have the date and time. So I don't want this time. I don't need it. So I'm just gonna delete this column. Right. So if you look here now, I think in my way of saying it, the cooking is done. What is left is just to clean up the kitchen. So in cleaning up the kitchen, first thing first is just to wrap up and rename your columns appropriately, put them in the appropriate data types. Remember what I also told you. Once you promote automatically, Excel Power Query we put an automatic step, which is what change type. It will automatically what put them in the appropriate what data type. But in a case where it doesn't, this is where you can easily what change your data type. Just come to, there is a little box here. If I hover, there is a little box here. This is where you can change your data type to date and time, date, whatever, text. So depending on your own case. So let's do our cleaning. Remember how I like my sequence. I like to do everything once so that if I'm going back, I can also easily trace my steps. So this is the sheet mode. This is the segment. Yeah, double click here. This is our order ID. This is the order dates. The order dates. And this is the sales value. Sales value. Yeah, and just like we did again, we have to scout through our, data cleaning comes with, you have to have the deep eye, you have to have that ego eye to just scale through your data to make sure that everything is in order. Now I'm just gonna check if there is any inconsistency or discrepancy in the data rows, if there is anything that we need to do across. So there is basically nothing as regards to what we did in the first time where we were seeing ground total here. So there is no such here. I think our job is done. So we've converted, this is how to handle more than one column. So we've converted all those to the sample that they gave us to convert it to. Just to add few more things, it's not like it's anything. I like my order ID to always be the first because order ID supposed to be more like your primary key. So this is just me adding Jara or extra to my work. Can select these two and move them. So I can also move through here, or I can right click and also move from here as well, either way. So I can just move it to the beginning, or I can also easily drag them. So I can see order ID, then order date, then the dimension, then the fax. That's usually the way I like my table to be ordered. After that, we can rename this to be cleaned underscore dirty 3. Yeah. And that's it. The renaming can also happen here. You can right click here and also rename. So either way, either here or here, you can rename your table. And after we are satisfied with what we have, everything is in the appropriate order. This is the date, this is the text, this is decimals. Then we'll go to our home tab and then close and load it back into the Excel. So it automatically creates a new sheet in that Excel workbook that you are dealing with. Yeah, and that's it. And that's it. Yeah. Your job is done. So if you compare your 33 to the clean 3, you see that yes, we have everything, even though the order may not be the same, but at least we have arranged the order in the way they are. We have arranged the data from being scattered like this to being well organized like this. Thank you very much, and always subscribe to my channel for more.